Okay, welcome back. Yang Yujin and Im Hyunshin are the names of the couple that went to Australia quite a while ago to open up their own place. They were, mildly successful. It was completely fine. However, they did have a child. And at the time, there was something that was not quite right with the child. They knew that there was something developmentally wrong or cognitively wrong. Something was not going right. So they went to a lot of different doctors, and in the end, the doctors just chalked it up to autism. So on the permanent record of the child, it says the child has autism. However, after going to a few more doctors and getting a surgery on I believe the ear area, the child could suddenly hear again. They didn't know that the poor son couldn't hear in the first place. And everything just clicked into place, got better grades in school, started going to normal schools, or at least schools for the abled in this case, and then it was just peachy keen. However, apparently in Australia, unlike many other Western countries, maybe every other Western country, if you are an immigrant with a labeled disability, which could cause the government to spend more money on you in the future, you have a very difficult time, or maybe impossible time, getting permanent residency. So at any point, these people could be denied residency and be shipped back, yanked out of Australia and shipped back to Korea. And unfortunately for this young individual, since they were born in Australia, grew up in Australia, only know English, only know like Australian everything, going back to Korea where they have no friends, no idea about the language, is going to be completely difficult. Mother tongue is English full on. And even the parents, being 10 years away from Korea, they have no contacts either. So all around a bad deal. Now, of course, people have learned about this, and not just the immigrant community, but the community for people with autism as well are coming up in arms and trying to say how unfair this whole situation really is. Let's hope they win.
I really do hope so. And this is the first time I've heard about it. I cannot believe that someone is born on Australian soil, but they are not an Australian citizen. How is that possible?
Or even the bigger shock for me was, how can you deny someone something because of a pre-existing condition or a later existing condition? Like, we're human.
Health condition, it's very discriminatory. We don't want you if you've got health problems.
If you're not subject to our normalcy or the ideas of normalcy, then you must get out of the country. That's what it feels like. And obviously that is not a very good position to take.
Yes.
I don't mind being critical of Australia in this one case.
Well, we've all got our crazy policies, and I would happily call out Britain if Britain was doing this to people.
Let's not talk about America's crazy policies.
Well,
guns.
We'll have a different article on that, and we had one this month in the series on guns.
Do you know anything about autism, or have you ever experienced any sort of communication with an autistic person?
I'm sad to say I don't think I've met an autistic person in real life, or at least not knowingly. They never told me about it. But I have read a couple of really interesting novels told from the perspective of autistic people with autistic main characters, and at varying degrees on the spectrum of autism. So I've got some ideas about what it is.
And I think that's a good point. There is a spectrum of this sort of developmental cognitive. I don't even want to call it a disease, because I feel like new information is coming out that says a lot of different stuff. But until we can change the medical books, then the language is going to have to be a little bit dicey. Anyways, there's a spectrum. And I feel, like you said, no one has told you outright, and I don't think you really have to. So whether I've met someone or not, it doesn't really matter. I think it's just meeting people.
Yes. And certainly on the milder end of the spectrum, it wouldn't be immediately obvious to a lot of people. So.
Like you might be like, oh, there's some sort of neurodivergent, but you wouldn't be like, oh, there's autism. Does the UK have special education programs?
We do. Again, a lot of my information on this comes from news reports or documentaries, so it seems very positive, but in order to make a judgment about is it good special education, I feel like I'd have to know someone who's actually been through it and used the system, but unfortunately I don't. So it looks good on TV, but that's what they want you to think. So.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag in the U.S. There's definitely some better places to go. And of course, those better places to go typically are on the more expensive side. Yeah, there are special programs and special schools, and even government-funded special programs and schools, but, you know, like I said, varying degrees of success on those ones.
Yes.
Well then.
Funding, it's always the problem.
Let's go ahead and take heed of this vocabulary and go ahead and study them, try to use them in your everyday life, or at least use them with someone who speaks English in your life as soon as possible to really drill it in there. Anyways, we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.
Deportation.
Deportation.
Go undetected.
Go undetected.
Impair.
Impair.
Special education.
Special education.
Heed.
Heed.